We live in a world defined by its debts. From the monthly car payment to the credit card balance, debt is the air we breathe. But the largest debt belongs to the governments, the national debt. It is announced on TV, an unimaginably large number. Everyone assumes it is a burden that must be paid in the future. This is the central paradox few dare to question. If every single nation on earth owes money to someone else, if central and commercial banks are also indebted, if every individual, every corporation carries debt, then who truly stands on the other side of this ledger? Who is the owner of this enormous global debt book? That final creditor does not even have a face. It is not a single person or a single company. It is a financial mechanism we have been trained to trust. A self-operating system running on the promise of tomorrow. It is the thing that is fundamentally wrong under this stable surface. To understand the creditor, we must look at how money is created. The modern system does not run on gold or silver. It runs on credit or simply debt. When a government needs money to build roads, schools, or hospitals, they issue bonds, a paper committing to repay the money. That commitment note is purchased by large financial institutions, pension funds, commercial banks, and foreign governments. It becomes a safe asset held within their vaults. This enormous flow of money connects every major city, from the trading floors of Wall Street to the container ports of Shanghai. Debt becomes the steel foundation beneath every structure. It is no longer a loan, but the operating material. Debt is the fuel that burns the engine of the modern economy. Every bond is a promise exchanged between multiple parties. Investors receive interest in exchange for their trust. We still think the government is paying with tax money, but in reality, tax only covers interest and a small portion of the principal. And when the old debt matures, they simply borrow new debt. This is a continuous loop designed to buy more time. A game where stopping would mean instant collapse. This mechanism operates with three inseparable components. Component 1, the government catalyst. Governments cannot indefinitely raise taxes to cover expenses. They must borrow to maintain public acceptance. The issuance of these bonds is called public debt. It becomes the safest financial commodity in the world. This asset is used as collateral for other transactions. National debt becomes the anchor holding the global credit ship. It creates the belief that the system will not default, and through that belief, more money is created through further credit. Component 2, the interaction between market and banks. Commercial banks purchase a large volume of these bonds. They use it as a kind of invisible cash on their balance sheets. Pension funds buy them to secure future payments for workers. This creates an almost endless demand for government bonds. When demand is high, the bond's interest rate is pushed down. Low interest rates make all other forms of borrowing cheaper. This is when asset bubbles begin to form across the market. Cheap money floods into real estate, stocks, and speculative investments. The system no longer serves the real economy. It serves to maintain the continuous flow of credit itself. Component 3, the hidden player, the central bank. At some point, the market may refuse to buy more debt, or the real economy begins to contract sharply. A panic can cause the entire debt loop to break down. This is when the central bank steps into the game. They are not a corporation or any national government. They are an agency allowed to create new money digitally. They print new money and buy those very bonds. This action is known by the term quantitative easing. They turn the government's debt into their own asset. They become the ultimate creditor of the national government. But that money does not vanish. It only changes form. It transforms into abundant liquidity within the banking system. It causes money to lose its purchasing power, known as inflation. People feel inflation at the gas pump, at the supermarket. High interest rates become a bill every household must pay. And who is the person who ultimately pays that inflation bill? It is the workers, the savers, the people who did not borrow heavily. Here is the raw and chilling truth of this system. The central bank acts to save the system, but that very action punishes those who work hard. When they buy debt, they inject liquidity into the banks. The goal is stability, but the result is instability. Cheap money causes asset prices, housing, stocks to skyrocket. Asset owners become richer overnight. Savers see their stored value eroded away. The saver is punished. The speculator is rewarded. A debt created to serve the public good, but it ends up widening the gap between the rich and the poor. The corporate office buildings are brilliantly lit, but the industrial areas down the street start to dim their lights. The real economy of factories and ports begins to slow down, yet the trading screens continue to flash non-stop. The system is serving itself, not the people. National debt is not a normal debt obligation. It is a promise that is never intended to be fully paid. Governments have no intention of clearing all their debt. They only need to service the interest and roll the debt over. Because if the debt is fully paid, the system will lack safe assets. If the bonds disappear, pension funds lose their anchor. The entire credit system would freeze and collapse. Debt is the secret sauce keeping this party going. And here is the final, coldest irony. The ultimate creditor is not a financial entity. The creditor is time. The debt is being pushed into the distant future. It is an interest bill waiting for the generation yet unborn. The true creditor is the years of labor that have not yet begun. It is the eroded wages of our children and grandchildren. The financial system is borrowing from the future, and we are paying the price right now in the present. In the end, the answer to that question is quite simple. If every nation is in debt, who is the final creditor? It is the system itself, self-contained. It is the central bank, the pension funds, the global investors, all agreeing to believe in this unpayable promise, all needing this debt loop to maintain their own status. They need the tension, the volatility to generate profit. They need the debt to create assets for themselves. Debt is no longer a financial mistake or misstep. It is the default mechanism to prolong the present. Look at the financial skyscrapers as night falls. The lights are still on, the servers are running constantly. The container lines are still moving on the sea lanes. The debt ledger grows thicker every hour, every second on the screen. Every transaction is a small mark on the shared burden. We are still paying, but not to a person. We are paying for the inertia and the blind faith, the faith that tomorrow will solve the debt of today. And the most terrifying truth is this: this system needs debt to live, and we are the ones playing the role of keeping it alive.